All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Nina Norton. I participated from DM 25 to DM 27. I am a recent graduate from the University of Iowa, majored in HR management, minored in Chinese with a certificate in international business. Like Catherine said, I am the former DEI director. I'm really grateful to be here and see all the future of DM, some great future leadership here, and seeing the growth of the empowerment team from when it started in DM 26. It's also really exciting to see those of you who, who were on my committee in the past, who, as well as some people who were my dancers back in the day. So I'm going to share a little bit about with you all about my DM journey. So as you can see here, these are pictures from DM 25. Please bear with me. I had side bangs. It was a really rough period in my life. Um, I signed up for DM not really because I was interested, but because all my friends were, honestly. And I almost didn't make the big event back in DM 25. I had really struggled to fundraise. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am half Chinese, and my entire mom's side of the family is in China, and I'm not close with my dad's side of the family. So, I had a lot less resources than maybe an average person in DM, I would say, has to fundraise. I didn't really have any family connections. So I had no idea at that point how, if it was going to be possible for me to raise the $500. So I ended up going canning with my line captain, and I hit the 500 within that one shift of canning, which was honestly incredible. And this is kind of where my passion for DM really began, was not just the canning, but my experience at my first big event. I was really inspired, and being able to hear, families share their stories. And I thought leadership was so cool. So the theme for this year was Shape Your Impact, which really hit me at the big event, really hit home for me because I felt that urge to become more involved, and which I did do for DM 26. So you can go to the next slide. Okay, so DM 26 was my first year on leadership. And I will be very honest, I wanted to be a morale captain so bad just so I could do the dance. Probably not the best excuse, but that's why I signed up. And I thought being on leadership was such an incredible experience. When you're on leadership, you get to gain more exposure to the organization and build so many more connections than you can really when you're a dancer. And this is kind of the year I started to build so many relationships and friendships that I still keep in contact to now after being out of college. So I was a morale captain for Group 26, which apparently doesn't exist anymore, which is a little sad. So if it gets revived, please let me know. But as a captain, you have a miracle family, and I was able to attend a lot of family events and build connections with my group and my family, and we just really connected. We really clicked. I when I first met my kid, Max Bailey, he was just recently diagnosed with cancer, and now he's in remission, and it's super exciting. And he's been, I think, cancer free for over a year. And we still talk to this day, very in contact with not just him, but his mom, his sister, who I got to watch graduate high school and now be in college. So just a really cool experience that I had that first year of leadership. And I absolutely adored being on the R&R committee. As someone who was an HR management major, invested in recruitment. And I think a few of my dancers might be on this call, and I think they could even attest how obnoxious I was with recruitment. If I saw anybody, I would ask them to join DM. And my group ended up actually being one of the largest groups in DM history with over 110 people. So if you chose to join, I really say thank you, and for a random girl coming up to you. And I think the Dossel twins are on here, so I'm pretty sure. So thank you for staying. As I increasingly became more involved in the organization and I learned more about how DM worked, I realized that there were several barriers which limited leadership members and dancers to fully participate in certain things, or maybe be their whole authentic selves in Dance Marathon. And again, as I noticed with fundraising and being a captain, it's more difficult for certain people to fundraise just because of barriers. Some people couldn't afford the registration fee. And I noticed that when I was a captain, but I felt like I didn't have the power to really do anything. So after the big event, I had sat down and just wrote this long list of what my ideal dance marathon would look like, or what I think that we could improve on. And I had sat down with my director at the time and said, where can I go to change this or make this happen? And that's when she had suggested that I applied for the DEI director position. So if you can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So and I ended up applying, and this was the first year of the DEI director position in Dance Marathon 27, which I had gladly accepted. And I'm assuming all of you were in DM 27, or might have been your first year of leadership, not quite sure, but for those less than 1 month after exec and chairs were selected, that's when everyone was sent home due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So stepping into that role, I had all these goals and things I had wanted to accomplish, but I was picturing a world where we were all in person, and that just wasn't happening. And I just remember sitting at my first exec meeting being told, like in person, being told we're probably going to get sent home, and I was devastated. I had felt like that I was going to miss out on so much, and that none of my ideas were going to be able to come to fruition because of those barriers. However, and I'm sure all of you can attest to this, being a leader in Dance Marathon, you promise to provide unwavering and steadfast loyalty to our families and our kids. We promise that through some of the most difficult moments in their life, that no matter what else is happening in the world, we are there to support them. That is our role as leaders in Dance Marathon. And though there were already barriers in place, 2020 brought even more barriers. And that was just something that no one could have ever anticipated. And though there were a lot of struggles and hard times, there was also overcome a lot of obstacles that we faced. And we were kind of forced to get creative and create things that may have never been in place if the pandemic had never happened. You think about things like the YouTube channel and online volunteering. We found ways that we could still connect and stay active with our families. So, and through this year, there was a lot of growth within DEI committee personally. Again, with the start of the whole committee, 2 new chair positions, as well as the director position. The registration fee waiver was created, the leadership fundraising waiver was created, and this team that you're all on now was established to be advocates for DEI. And just telling you from when I started to seeing the growth now and hearing from Abby how things have changed, that is a huge amount of growth. DEI work is very, very difficult and takes so much time, and it really does take an army to complete it all. And you are all lifting up that work. So I feel nothing but immense pride to sit here and look at you all and see how DM29 is flourishing. So give yourselves all a pat on the back for that. You can go to the next slide. So kind of my life now. So because of my experience with DM, I had actually, my senior year, applied for an internship with an insurance company doing DEI. And before my senior year, I then accepted a full-time offer and as a DEI analyst, and that is my current role. So I work at Athene. We just had a merger with Apollo. So a lot of the stuff that I started doing in DM built the foundation for my professional career. And many of the skills that I had learned in my role, they still come into play today. So kind of a little bit about my position is I do a lot of work. Recruitment is equitable and inclusive of people of all identities. So not just race and ethnicity, but also disability status, veteran status, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity. And I get to look at a lot of metrics and play with that, which is honestly really fun. But I also work a lot with what are called employee resource groups, which are groups of, they're kind of like a little affinity networks of organizations. And they are kind of like a bunch of little empowerment teams in corporate America. And I get to help coach them and uplift them to help push forth our DEI strategy to make our company more inclusive. And I will say, as someone who started DEI work and now does it professionally, there's a really big business case for it if it's proven by research that if you are in more diverse teams, you are going to perform better. You're going to get more unique perspectives of thought. So yeah, that's kind of what I do now. But one thing that I just want to say that I'm forever grateful was for in my DM experience was the friends that I had made. You can see pictures of here. These are in the corner. Those are some friends who I had made on exec. In the other corner were a couple of my chairs, and people I met in Dance Marathon. We've been through huge milestones, not just like birthdays and graduations, but even weddings. And that's such a unique experience that not a lot of people get in college, but because you are in Dance Marathon, you will have experience like that. Like some of the friends you are probably making right now because of your teams or whatnot, those are going to be some of your friends for the rest of your life. So on the empowerment team, you all serve as a liaison to families, other leadership members, and other dancers and students throughout campus. And truly, your role is to be an advocate for Dance Marathon, diversity, equity, inclusion, and everyone this organization touches, which truly is so many people. And the purpose of the empowerment team is to grow, to learn in your DEI journey, but to create a safe space. And it doesn't matter where you are with your journey with DEI, if maybe you are one of the biggest advocates in the world, or you're just learning what the acronym stands for. You have the ability and power to make Dance Marathon the most inclusive organization on campus. Throughout my experience in Dance Marathon, all these connections that I've built, the leaders I have admired, I felt extremely empowered. And trust me when I say that no matter what role you're in, whether you're on exec, whether this is your first year on leadership, you're truly making an impact on other people's lives. So I'm going to leave a little bit of time to open for a few questions before you break out into small groups. But I wanted to leave you with a few bits of advice that I wish someone told me while I was in college and Dance Marathon, now that I am officially 5 months into real adulthood. So take my advice with a grain of salt. But my first bit of advice is that you are going to screw up so many times that it is not even funny, not just within college, within your role in DM. You're going to probably say things that you probably shouldn't have said, and maybe unintentionally hurt someone, forget to go to a meeting, forget to do something. But the thing is, you only learn from failure. You'll never grow or get better at something without screwing up. So learn to mess up, but it's also important that you learn to give yourself grace when you inevitably fail. And my last bit of advice is what I have learned in my DEI journey is if there's something that you don't think is right, if something doesn't sit right with you, something you think that can be better, you have the power to fix it. You have to stand up and say that that is wrong. And you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. So that's just a little bit about me. You can stop sharing your screen. I would love to see everyone's faces. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to type them in the chat or just unmute.
I have a question.
Yeah, hi.
All right, I'm in the middle of eating dinner, so that's why I had my video off. I didn't think you guys would want to watch that. But I do have a question. What is the best way of incorporating DEI in our committees? Because I know, like, obviously this is one way that like our namesake chairs and like we do it, but then also at meetings, but like what is a better way that we can do it? Like I'm the event director, by the way. So like within like the event committee, for example, like how would you recommend doing that?
I think sometimes we think DEI is much harder than it needs to be. DEI in your committee is so much as maybe being your authentic self and checking in. So one thing we do at work is we, before meetings, we all go around and say how we're doing on a scale from 1 to 10. And being honest and opening that space to be your authentic self, you're creating a more inclusive environment. And that's incorporating DEI. Maybe it's also sharing an article that you found or a podcast that you thought was really cool just in your group me or whatever. I know like when I was a director, we used to obviously again did lead the DEI committee, so we had to incorporate DEI. But I really tried to give my committee members this space to share things or speak about topics that might have been going on. And again, 2020 was a very big year for DEI as well, so it felt like there was something new popping up each week. But there's really so many ways you can incorporate it, and it just has to start with so much of seeing how someone's day is going or how they're doing.
At each committee meeting that DEI has, we do highs and lows, and I think that's a good way to incorporate like making sure that your committee feels really loved by everyone that's there.
I'm sorry if you hear noises up there. Like I think I just heard a big bang. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I just needed to apologize. And I'll say one thing as a leader too is being yourself and not having to filter. I was someone who was always very I don't want to say unprofessional, but kind of a little unprofessional. That's just how I lead. And Abby can attest, I would walk into my meetings and I would just, if I was frustrated, everyone would know. And I don't think you need to hide yourself to your committee or your dancers if you're a captain or whatnot. You can go in there and be real and be who you are. Does anyone else have any questions, comments?
I'll ask the question. What was your biggest lesson that you learned since being in Dance Marathon?
Oh gosh, I feel like I learned a lot. I think that hard work will get you where you need to go. Like I said, and back in DM27, we weren't projected to hit $1 million. And that was absolutely devastating to go from 2.8 to maybe $999,000. I might have said that wrong. But I was really, really lucky to have people around me and who were just some of the most intelligent and hardest workers that I had ever met. And we ended up raising $1.4 million, which is honestly something that kind of felt unreal at that time. And I think the only reason we hit that number was because of the incredible leadership we had that year, but also the hard work that every single person in DM27 put in, because that was just truly a year unlike any other, being 100% virtual and still raising that much money. I will say this is very comfortable to me, like being on a Zoom with people and nobody talking. This was my life for an entire year, so it kind of feels like nostalgic in a way.
Felt that.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
So, since you're the DEI director, what's one thing that, in the past you probably didn't take into consideration or you never thought was a big deal to people or you didn't take into account, and then as time went on, you felt like you needed to put more of an emphasis on or needed to be more aware of somebody's, stance or feelings on something? If that makes any sense how I worded it. Do you get what
I think so. I think for me, it was the accessibility of being online. There was so much I didn't really think about as someone who is not a person with a disability, that then you realize with the big event, a lot of our kids and families, they are persons with disabilities who may need a little extra assistance. And when we went completely virtual, I was like, great, we're done. Guess accessibility is all solved, but that's not the case. We actually had to implement captioning on every single video, which is really not easy, and still finding sign language interpreters and still needing a ramp, even though it's only exec in the room. So there's just things like that. I think that stepping into that role, I didn't focus on as much, but then kind of as the year went on, changed my perspective. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So does someone want to share what their favorite part of DM29 has been? I would like to hear.
Family events. So many
Yeah,
of them.
I was about
I
to say.
love them.
Are
I
you
went to
guys doing the one at
Wapsie.
the
So good.
Are you guys doing the one at the mall this year?
There's one at the mall.
Back in DM26, which I feel like is dating me at this point, we would have one at the mall and we would go like ice skate. It was super fun. Kat, I just saw you unmuted.
Sorry. I was gonna say we're not doing something at the mall. We're gonna switch it up, and I think we're looking into other options still locally, like partnering with like Extreme Arena or doing something at like a local like movie theater with an arcade.
Okay,
We're not sure yet.
Arcade is fun.
Family
Slay.
family events are literally the best to build those connections, and
So
just
fun.
the kids and families love it so much. You can tell how important it is to them. So if you haven't gone, I really think you should go.
Do we want to switch into breakout groups now? Maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna log off. It was so nice to chat with you all. If you ever need any career advice, if you're in business, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I'm always open for a chat. So good luck to this year. Myself, along with the rest of DM27 exec, will be cheering you all on, and we can't wait to watch the big event and Data DM as well. So good luck to you guys. We're cheering you on, and you're gonna do amazing.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Nina.
Nina.
Thank you.
Okay. I think I have everyone in breakout rooms. So we're gonna split up and then you'll answer a few questions. And then once y'all are done answering all the questions, you're free to go.